on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I'm joined today by the winningest coach in bodybuilding history, Hany Rambod, who now has successfully coached Hottie to potentially his first Arnold Classic victory. We're going to do kind of a recap here.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Has not happened
Are
yet.
you not
everybody.
confident?
No, it's not that I'm not confident. I just anything can happen. So what I'm saying is.
So by anything, you mean he could lose?
Absolutely, because hasn't won yet. So
Okay.
That's it. So what we're going to say is the fact that we had a really good prejudging. I was very happy with the look, but we can go into it. But I'm a person who doesn't like to count their chickens before they're hatched.
Well, I want to start with Classic Physique. I want to get your perspective on probably the upset of the year, really, with Ramon Dino losing to Wesley Vissers.
Yes.
I don't think anybody saw that coming going into this show. What did you think about? Because I think the look at prejudging for Wesley, I think he looked a lot better at prejudging. I think at the finals towards the end, he started to fade. I don't think he had a really good shine on towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And Ramon, I feel like got harder, looked a little bit drier as he posed. And I think it got a lot closer towards the end, and people were kind of starting to lean back towards Ramon. But at prejudging, it seemed like it was pretty handily a victory for Wesley. So what did you think about that whole scenario?
I think that where Ramon got jammed up a bit is that I think he lost a little bit of his shoulder width and his volume. And I feel like the conditioning looked good in terms of like how dry he was, but I think his overall fullness and that 3D effect was gone away a little bit. And I think that's what hurt him. And I think that that's what hurt his prejudging. But when you look into the night show, I think he was able to eat up a little bit, and then it came back, but it wasn't enough. I think by then it was a little bit too far gone.
Where would you rank how he looked here compared to his Olympia package? Do you think he looked better or worse?
I think that he looked about, it's hard
about
to say,
the same?
About the same, only because of the fact that you have different lighting here, right? So at the Arnold, you have different lighting. And I think that, but when it comes to the shoulder pop and all of those things that I saw on stage, especially because I was really paying attention because obviously he was going against C-Bum, I was like more impressed with how he looked on at the Olympia because he had still a bit of that 3D effect. I think here he had good conditioning, but I think he was just downsized a little bit.
So it wasn't necessarily a matter of he was off. It was more that Wesley had just improved that much.
That's a good way of putting it. It's really that he had moved up quite a bit and he had really improved Wesley.
So you coach Chris Bumstead. What do you think this means for the future? Do you think we're going to see a Chris versus Wesley rivalry that is potentially more competitive than Chris versus Ramon? Because Wesley in stature is a lot taller guy. He's got a little bit better stage presence. And when I look at like Chris next to Ramon, I don't feel like it's as competitive because Ramon just doesn't have that imposing size on stage that Chris has. But when you picture Chris versus Wesley next to each other, it seems like a much more viable matchup.
Yeah, but let's break that down. He's definitely bigger than Ramon. He's got really good shoulder width, but he also doesn't have the
waist.
V-taper.
Yeah.
Exactly. He doesn't have the V-taper that Ramon has, and he doesn't have a quad sweep like C-Bum has. So when you look at the X frame, shoulders to waist to thigh sweep that Chris has, that's what gives Chris that really cool like wow factor.
Right.
And I feel that that's what Wesley doesn't have. So, but I think not to take anything away from Wesley, I think he looked great. I think he looked absolutely amazing. But I think that that's, when we're breaking up differences, and I think Arnold really nailed it when he said that he reminds him of Lou Ferrigno.
That was a really good comparison.
Right. Because most people want to always go, I want to, think that I look like Arnold because Arnold's is the gold standard. But because of the fact that the legs versus the waist, Arnold he had a really good V-taper. And I feel that Wesley has much more of a Lou Ferrigno V-taper. And I think that's why when Arnold said it, I was like, wow, he was dead on.
Yeah. So you don't think Chris is watching this right now sweating at all?
No, because I think it's always Chris versus everybody.
That's also true. I wanted to ask you this too. How many more years do you think Chris is going to continue to compete and defend his Olympia title?
I think what's going to tell the tale for Chris's journey here is going to be when his daughter's born in 3 weeks. So 3 weeks from this week, his daughter will be born. And I think that's going to really tell the tale there. So it's going to be hard to say until that time.
You don't think he's going to go for 10?
No, I think that, I'll be honest with you, I think that just with bringing in a child, and especially a very emotional and a very connected person like Chris, he is someone that really wanted to have a family, and now he's having that opportunity, right? So I think that it's going to really tell the tale of what his future is going to look like.
Okay, well, let's get into bodybuilding then. Let's start with the top 6. What did you think about the guys that were in the 3 to 6 range? So Raphael, John De La Rosa, you also had James Hollingshead in there, and then, of course, Antoine Vaillant, which to me, I think that was the most surprising guy in that first call-out. I wasn't expecting to see him in that mix.
Well, you know, these guys all have been posting up pictures all the way getting ready for the show, and they've all looked great. And I think that when you look at everyone, let's talk about one of the ones that I feel looked the most improved, John De La Rosa. John De La Rosa definitely has improved tremendously. So shout out to John. You did a great job. I think the conditioning looked
the best we've seen so far from him,
100%.
conditioning-wise.
I think it's the best he's ever looked.
When I was watching it, I was looking at the 2 most conditioned guys, and I felt that it was Hottie and John.
I think that John looked amazing. I think he looked really, really good. And you got to remember, John has some structural issues, but you know, with his legs and the way that they're formed. But because of his conditioning, then he overcomes some of those things.
Yeah.
So when conditioning can overcome a lot of structural things, and I feel that when you got to see him on stage this time, you go, wow, it's impressive. Where in the past you'd always say he's got great potential.
Yeah. So would you say, when you look at that 3rd place spot with Raphael and John, I think likely Raphael will be in 3rd, but do you think there's a chance that with John's conditioning, he could overcome Raphael, who's a little bit bigger, a little bit better structure?
Look, it's half of the judging has only been done. So you have a whole other half tomorrow. So there's a lot of things that can happen. But ultimately, I do feel that Raphael is ahead of him right now. But I think that we're going to have to see how everybody looks the next day. But Raphael's improved, John De La Rosa's improved, Antoine Vaillant, I don't know how to say his last name, but Vaillant is improved.
Hopefully I'm right.
Yeah. I mean, these guys all look great. I mean, even what's his name?
James?
James improved. You know, now I do think that in some of the pictures I saw, he looked better than he did on stage.
The midsection was a kind of a big thing for me. I think that's what made him slip a little bit.
Right. And so I just, there were so many guys that really brought it. I think that was what was great about this lineup.
All right, let's talk about what you really want to talk about here, the top 2. So
I want to talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, this is going to be your big victory if Hottie wins. So this is your
that's
is where your
Hottie's
perspective
victory,
is very
not my
valuable.
victory, but that's Hottie's victory. But I think that they both look great. I think that Hottie obviously brought in a really good package when it comes to his conditioning, and I think it really helped accentuate his shape because of his V-taper, because of the fact that you know, Hottie's not a tall guy. So I think that with that extra conditioning, again, you know, structural things can be accentuated one way or another. It can be either make it worse or it can make it better. And I think with that extra conditioning and that 3D look, I think that, you know, I was very pleased with his overall look. And again, not to take anything away from Samson. I think Samson looked great, but I do think that there's a level of conditioning needed to be able to go against people at this level. And I think that he's still working on that and still trying to figure that solution out.
Well, let me ask you this. I've seen some comments, and I saw in the commentary, people are saying they think it's close between Samson and Hottie. So I saw one person say it could be a 1-point decision between the 2.
Well,
I was
commentary, when you're saying commentary, not online, you're saying that somebody that was doing the live stream.
That and online.
Okay.
There's still some people that think it was close,
Okay.
but I think both of us are probably on the same page about how we feel about this. Yeah. I was watching it. I thought that the conditioning between Hottie and Samson, Hottie was just on a different playing field. He was just a level beyond what Samson was. And if you look at it from the perspective of if Hottie beats Samson at the Olympia, and Hottie's better here, he's more conditioned, he's bigger, his back's improved, and Samson looks about the same. In what world are we arguing that Samson is a point behind Hottie in this?
I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I didn't think it was that close, but again, you know, I can admit I'm a biased coach to some degree, but trying to
there's a lot of those out there.
Yeah, but at the end, I do think that, you know, you have to look at things objectively, and you have to sit down, even though it's a subjective sport. And what I mean by that is that you have to just turn around and say, well, you broke it down perfectly when you said, hey, look, you know, at the Olympia, it was Derek versus Hottie. It was them mixing it up 1-2. and Hottie is now better than he was at the Olympia. And then you turn around and go, okay, Samson was about the same. Let's just say even if he's a little bit better, a smidgen better, but Hottie, who had won the Olympia 2 years ago, 2022, now is markedly better. So if you take all of those things and you put them all together, you say, okay, well, there's probably a bit of a distance there. But again, things can change. Things can go through, different types of lenses and lighting and everything else that you want to go through. And that's why I always, I'm not a person who goes above and beyond saying, hey, look, it's not done till it's done.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm very curious. What did you do differently with Hottie for this prep to improve the back shots?
You want me to give you all the secrets?
Well, give the people
give the people the secrets,
because clearly that was the deciding factor at the Olympia between Derek and Hottie was the back poses, and I felt that watching this, Hottie had clearly improved from the back. So, what, just in general speak, did you do something differently to focus specifically on that?
Honestly, we did several things different for this one.
Okay.
So
that was a focus of it.
100%. 100%. There was a focus of it to bring his backside conditioning better. It was a focus of it to try to continue to keep it growing his back because it was one of his weak points early on.
Did you work on posing at all? Because I felt like his back lat spread, he opened up wider, it seemed. He looked a lot wider in the back lat spread.
We did work on posing as well. And we also worked on just doing things at a level where we could be able to create a little bit more intensity during the workouts instead of just going through and blasting for 2.5 hours that he used to do. And sometimes he would train twice a day. And what we did was we actually reduced the amount of time that he was spending in the gym and trying to focus more on quality versus quantity.
Right. Let me ask you this. So as a coach, if you're looking at what Samson brought today, when you're talking to Hottie, what would be the pose, I guess, that you're the most worried about, Samson versus Hottie, that you think there's a chance? Like, what would be your advice to Hottie going up against Samson in any given pose? What do you think Samson's strongest suit is?
Obviously, it's his shape, right? Everybody knows Samson is a shape guy. So I think that when he does his front double bicep, it looks really good. But I do think that Hottie's front double bicep has improved quite a bit.
Well, that's the interesting argument. Is so many people say Samson is so aesthetic and so shapely, but it's not like Hottie's not. He's pulling a vacuum pose in the front double. He's doing the victory pose with a vacuum pose. I mean, it's not like Hottie's this little brick.
Right.
I mean,
right. And I think that because of conditioning, it actually accentuates his X frame, and his shape gets even better because of it.
Okay. So, what are your predictions for the top three?
Well, I think that obviously, with the Hottie factor being he came in really dialed in, I would have him right up there, and then obviously Samson, and then Raphael as of right now. That's where I would guess the judges have everything, but I don't like to give predictions, so we'll see what tomorrow brings, because we have 50% of the judging tomorrow, and I still think it's a really good fight. But I do really enjoy the fact that we got to see a lot of these guys improve from many other outings that they've had, and they brought in their best. So I really enjoyed the show.
I guess my final question would be probably the toughest question of this. Derek Lunsford, if he's watching this, and
he was actually watching it 3 seats from me.
Well, if he's looking at this version of Hottie, because I was thinking about this when I was watching it, I think Hottie looks so much better here than he looked at the Olympia. Would this version of Hottie beat Derek at the Olympia?
Yes.
There you have it.
But
that was a good, honest answer. I thought you were going to be like, "Oh, I like him," but
no. This version of Hottie would. But no, the flip side of that is, what's the version of Derek
next year
for this year in 2024?
I'm glad you said that, because I really felt that Hottie here looks so much markedly better. I think he would have won the Olympia if he looked like this back then.
I agree. But he didn't. So, and that's why Derek won. But now going into 2024, Derek's not going to sit there and say, hey, look, I'm going to come in the same. He's going to improve.
Right.
I mean, he's already hungry. I'm hungry because you got to remember, that's my work too. So I don't look at them as, hey, look, Hottie this, Derek that. It's about trying to improve Derek to try to make the best version of him. And there's a lot of room for improvement there.
That's so interesting to me. I think about that like a parent trying to pick their favorite kid with you coaching both of them. It's like, how can you not have a favorite and want one? Just even in the back of your mind, be thinking about one winning more than the other. No. You don't have a preference at all?
No, I honestly want both of them to be so good that it's going to be really hard to pick.
Because not many people are in the position that you're in to have the top two at the Olympia both under your tutelage, and it's like, it's a weird position.
Yeah, but I've been in it before. You know, Jay and Phil, right? And Jay won a couple of those, and then next thing you know, Phil went on his rampage of 7 straight. But the cool thing about it is the fact that what this does for Derek is it motivates the hell out of him, because right now it's like a hungry guy that's smelling barbecue.
Why is he not up here right now?
Why is he not? Because it's like, you bring me here at 2 o'clock in the morning to do a video.
It is 2 a.m. by the way, so I hope you guys appreciate it.
Yeah, so I should be getting like some overtime pay.
Make sure you subscribe to Honey's channel, by the way, The Truth Podcast with Hany Rambod. Is the name of your channel just Hany Rambod?
It's just Hany Rambod. So if you go type in Hany Rambod.
And you're what, 635,000?
Dude, that's pretty close. See? Check it on me. You're watching.
Attention. So subscribe to Hany. I hope you guys enjoyed this. That was the Arnold Classic wrap-up. Hopefully we can do this every year. I really like getting together with you. I think we get along pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty
So if you guys enjoy this, make sure you like it, subscribe to Hany.
Yep.
Leave a comment down below about your predictions, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys on the wrap-up tomorrow.
Peace.
See ya.
All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.